are welcoming actually a couple of familiar faces back to the program one more time as we have Michael and Tara Porsche joining us. Thank you for being here, first and foremost. And also we do have Dr. Kasim Chowdhury. He is joining us as well. He is a transplant surgeon, all associated with Iowa Methodist Transplant Center, part of UnityPoint, Jackie.
All right, so we're talking about a very serious issue this morning.
And one of the things we're going to start with before we talk to the doctor is talking about your story. Tara, if you would just share with everyone what we've learned a while ago.
In 2007, our daughter Emily was in a car accident and she hit her head and had severe trauma. She later passed away, and we made the selection to have her be an organ donor.
What made you ultimately decide on this decision?
Well, Michael and I are both organ donors, and so it was something that we thought about but never talked about.
I was going to say, did you have the conversation before you made before this tragedy even happened?
You never have the conversation about, would you do this with your child?
Right.
Michael and I we both have driver's license, so we both marked yes and made that conscious choice, but you still don't necessarily think about it all the time. It is very good for somebody to talk about it with your family, to make your wishes known, but it wasn't something we had done. So when we came to that point in our life where we had to make that decision, we both just said, why not? I mean, I would do it for him, he would do it for me, so why would you not do it for your child?
It was the furthest thing away from our minds.
Right.
Something we never even considered because of everything that was going on and happening at the time. Until we were approached by the Iowa Donor Network, very sensitive, very caring. It was an easy decision. And I'm glad they did broach us, or else we'd have never said, hey, you know what we should do? And so it was good that they were there.
Do you know the great things that have come from having the organs donated?
We do. Emily's, she had one kidney go to a 65-year-old man.
Oh, really?
And she was only 9 at the time.
Holy cow.
So that was a great match. Her second kidney went to a gentleman that was 56 years old, and she had a portion of her liver went to a little boy in Omaha that was 3 years old. He was a twin, but he had spent most of his life in and out of the hospital, and his brother was healthy and rambunctious, and he was just very sickly. And so when we received our letter from them, the first thing they said was, wow, it was an immediate change, an entire 180 change. He's bouncing around, he's running around, and we're like, yeah, sorry, that's Emily. She was full of life, she was full of excitement, she didn't sit still very long, she liked to engage things. So everybody that we've met that's a recipient still has spoke to that they have different changes and things where maybe they didn't like ice cream, and then after the transplant they crave ice cream. So I'll let the doctor speak to if that's true.
But you didn't say something else that was interesting. You said a portion of her liver.
Right.
You said part of her liver. And doctor, you're a transplant surgeon. How does that work? We're only a part of an organ.
So for a liver is able to regenerate, and that will grow with the patient as the child grows. Sometimes the liver is too big to be able to be transplanted into one person, and so it may have been reduced in size so that the abdomen could be closed.
Got it.
Oftentimes, the livers can be split. If the liver is very good quality, they can be split and given to two separate patients.
I had no idea.
So one donor can provide 2 recipients with an organ. So that's one of the beautiful things about liver transplantation. So that's probably what it was. It was a reduced size transplant.
How gratifying is it for you to know that you're able to change lives like this?
I think the most rewarding part of my job is meeting people who go through these really tragic situations, and then they still have the wherewithal to just be able to donate, to make that decision to donate, because I think that's a really it's a really brave decision to do that, because you're not being selfish at all. Because it does maybe delay some of the other things that you want to get done at that time.
How long have you been a transplant surgeon?
Oh, about 10 years now, so it's been a while.
What's the need or want that we have as far as organs are concerned in the state of Iowa? I imagine there's a lengthy list of people waiting for certain organs.
There are, and so currently there's approximately 600 plus people waiting for organs actively listed. 530 or so for kidney transplants alone.
Wow.
But there's also people listed for lung transplants, heart transplants, kidney and pancreas transplants. Nationally, there's over 100,000 people waiting for organs.
I didn't realize it was that many.
But we only have about 7,000 deceased donors every year. So that gap widens every year. So that's why in April's Organ Donation Month, where we try and raise awareness to encourage people to list for to be organ donors.
And starting tomorrow, it's going to be April, and April is Donate Life Month. And this is something that we can draw attention to. So if people haven't done what both of you have done on their driver's license, and check the area that says organ donor, you want to think about that.
Exactly. I think have those conversations up front. Certainly consider checking the box, but more importantly, also talk to your family and friends. Let them know what your wishes are.
As you say, no one wants to have that worst case scenario in mind or have that conversation, but how important is it to sit down with your friends, family, and just talk about it a little bit? Yeah,
I think no one wants to talk about these things because they're uncomfortable conversations. But having your family and friends know what your wishes are makes their task a little easier when it comes to making that decision when they're approached about organ donation. Should anything terrible happen.
Now, Tara and Michael, you guys had the worst possible scenario before you had to make this decision. What would you tell parents that are out there now that have kids? Would you have the conversation with them now, or would you leave that to the parents?
I think that it is definitely something you talk about. It's something to be aware of. If not to make your wishes known, but to help spread the message for one. But I can say with our situation, losing a child is one of the worst things you can go through. In a sense, we lost her quickly. We lost her to an accident. There was nothing that could be done to save her. It would have been far worse if we would have lost her because there wasn't an organ to save her. And that's something that we were able to give to 3 other families, that we kept them from going to the same funeral we went to. We look at our funeral and see that there were 80 to 100 people there. When you multiply that by 3 for those 3 families, we saved 300 people from having to go to a very sad day.
No, you guys are very strong for being here in the first place. And thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
It's unfortunate that the only time you really think of organ donation is when you do go get your driver's license updated. So we're saying, please, in the month of April, think about this conversation. Think about being an organ donor. If you want more information, you can go to unitypoint.org.
Doctor, thank you so much for everything that you do too.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.